Scientists see pregnancy without men in our future. An experiment was carried out in China, which now has many scientists believing that women producing offspring with other women is a real possibility in our future. And in fact, men will not even be needed.
Whew. The advancement of technology recently, it just seems like it's speeding up, right? It seems as if it is faster than what has ever been before. On one side of the coin, you have AI, which is a mainstay now and has forever changed the earth that we live on. Shit, yesterday I was up at a stoplight. I looked to the left of me and there's a driverless car to the left of me, right? I look behind me, like in a rearview mirror, and there's a driverless car behind me. And it's crazy because like I was trying to bait the bastard. Like I was brake checking him and the thing was slowing. A lot better than most of the drivers within the city. Nevertheless, getting outside of the point, women are now panicking after artificial wombs have been announced in China. There's so many pros, there's so many cons that we need to get into within the confines of this video. But before we go over the official news report, I found another video from TikTok, which is someone speaking about, this about 2 or 3 years ago, speaking about this technology back then. First, I want to look at that video, then we're getting to the news report, and then I want to go over what I think that this is going to do or what this means for our society today. Without further ado,
I just had one of the most fascinating interviews on artificial wombs. This is where I did the interview. It's uploading right now. The scientist that I was interviewing is the lead researcher on one of the studies that's just most in the news about artificial wombs. And I had gotten really interested in this topic because honestly, I'm a little bit afraid of getting pregnant and it sounds really hard, and I was curious about artificial wombs for pregnancy. But what he told me that was so fascinating is that that's not even really the point of the research right now at all. I mean, long term, yes, scientists are definitely interested in growing humans outside of a human body for as long as possible. But much more immediately, researchers are curious about 3 things. The first is caring for premature babies. Can we make sure that a lot more babies survive a lot earlier? The second is growing organs for organ transplants that are genetically identical to the person that they're being given to, which would help them be accepted. It would help a lot of people. And the third is just learning a lot more about how humans develop in the first place, actually mammals in general. He called it a black box. There's just so much that we don't know, and that's what scientists are trying to figure out.
Now, again, this is a couple of years ago. What I found interesting about this clip is not that what they care about, but it's what that they don't care about. And they damn sure don't care about playing God. And with the advent, or let's say the personalization or commercialization of AI, the concept of God is currently being challenged, I guess, for more secularists, right? So not only do they not care about that, but they also don't care about what this might mean for human condition, or rather the human relationship, right? Because this takes it a step further than surrogacy. What's surrogacy? Surrogacy is, me, man, I have a significant other. We want to have a baby, but not in her body, right? Because it might damage her body or whatever the issue is. But we get someone else to have the baby, another young lady to have the baby for us, right? After hundreds of thousands of dollars, incredible amount of legal loopholes that you have to, right? And contracts that have to be signed. You could do this, right? You could do this now. But let's say with this, you not only reduce the price by 1/10, right? They're saying here it's 14, well, not here, in the next video, they're going to say it's $14,000. But then also, let's say that it's a woman and a woman that want to have this done. Let's say if it's a man and a man that want to have this done. Let's say that you're a woman that want to have this done and you don't need no man. You strong and independent. You don't even have to take that baby to term, lowering the requirement. And there's a huge requirement to actually carry a damn baby, but lowering the requirement to raise a child in a single parent household, driving us further and further apart. Nevertheless, let's get into actual current news story before we continue to hypothesize.
Well, what was once confined to the dark visions of science fiction is now becoming a stark reality. Scientists in China
Black Mirror,
have
baby.
unveiled a concept that could forever change the meaning of life, of parenthood, and what it is to be a human. A new arms race is underway, not for military might, but for the very procedure of creation. Our next report telling you more.
And the fact that it's in China makes me think that this is it, but they probably doing it today, right? Just like there's certain people that go to different countries to get their teeth done, right? Dudes might go to damn Istanbul or Turkey to get their hairline done. You're going to have people going out to China to get their baby done.
Imagine a world where the act of pregnancy is no longer a human experience, but a technological one. A world where babies are grown in a sterile, artificial womb inside a machine. Something depicted in sci-fi cult movie The Matrix, it's the audacious new reality being pursued by Chinese scientists. They are developing what they claim is the world's first pregnancy robot, a humanoid surrogate capable of carrying a baby to term and giving birth. This machine, they say, will be equipped with a cutting-edge...
I wonder if they're going to get... Okay, this is one of my dark side coming up out, all right? I wonder if they're going to start to put viscous innards on these damn robots, right? Like, you're like, you buy the whole robot, and then boom, dudes have been talking about, hey, listen, you got dolls and shit like that. You put the AI in the doll, but what if you've got the doll, the AI, right? You program that AI to forever give peace, and you put a viscous innard up in that AI. Shit, son. Shit. And that AI could get pregnant. Shit. No wonder they're running scared. All right, let's proceed.
Term and giving birth.
Look at that mouth move.
This machine, they say, will be equipped with a cutting-edge artificial womb that receives nutrients through a complex network of hoses and tubes. The humanoid, priced at around $1,400, being reportedly developed by Kaiwa Technology,
I thought it was
a Guangzhou-based tech company. But with every breakthrough comes a burning question. Just because we can, should we? For centuries, pregnancy has been the most human of experiences. Replacing it with machines sparks fierce ethical debate. What does it mean for the sanctity of motherhood and the human bond between parent and child?
Less of a connection if they do it this way.
There is also the question about who will control these artificial wombs.
Yeah.
Will babies become products designed, engineered, manufactured? Critics warn of a slippery slope where life itself is commodified. Will the rich buy robo-surrogates while others grapple with infertility or medical risks? The implications are enormous, and the world is watching closely.
Designer babies.
Bureau Report, VON World is One.
Dog, this is so incredible, so scary. You got to think about from like a military capability, being able to breed super soldiers. Could that not be a component of the future, or why China is stepping the gas on this particular technology? Soldiers aside, just the thought or the understanding that essentially you can also breed workers, right? On the far end of the coin, you got AI taking away, also creating some new jobs, but taking away a lot of like artistic, service-based work. And it's going to be taking over a lot more work going into the future. But then on the opposite side, you could have a population explosion. See, this can do a lot in order to stop declining birth rates, because the man and the woman don't necessarily need to be together in order to create life, and also could be a solution for women that want kids but don't want to go through a pregnancy. So explosion of AI, which is going to shift how we work, how we think about work. At the same time, an explosion of this type of technology, increase in population, a lot more people, but a lot less work. Now, while there's some women out there that are applauding this, and we're going to go over some of that content, because the thought of them not having to deal with a man, right, and to have a baby grown on the outside of their body might seem well. On the flip side of the coin, you got to consider that men are also looking at this technology as well, because how many times have we seen pregnancies being, or just babies in general, kids in general, being weaponized within relationships, including child support battles, including divorces. We see this all of the time. But now that there's a thought of an artificial womb, could this give men more option to start a family without having that potential consequence being a reality? It could. Would men in modern times today choose this option if they wanted a family over marrying a woman in order to get it done, knowing that there's a 50% divorce rate, knowing that 70% of women initiate divorces, at least in the West, also knowing that the state does not support men as what they do support women when it comes to these family, court, custody type battles, including child support. Well, anyway, let's go over to the TikTok and see what the lovely young ladies up there are saying about these new technologies.
Scientists see pregnancy without men in our future. And in case you aren't aware, I'm a biomedical scientist who debunks everything women's health. An experiment was carried out in China, which now has many scientists believing that women producing offspring with other women is a real possibility in our future. And in fact, men will not even be needed. This means that women-only couples could genetically have a child of their own. So researchers from the Chinese Academy of Scientists used gene editing techniques in order to create 29 baby mice from female-only genomes. The baby mice grew up to be extremely healthy and even have offspring of their own. So researchers done this through essentially mimicking fertilization. So they got stem cells with half of the amount of chromosomes and then another set of stem cells from another half of set of chromosomes and then merged them together in order to cause fertilization and poof, baby mice. They of course carried the same experiment out using male genomes from these mice, and what they found was insane. So the male-only genomes had exactly the same genotyping as the female genomes. However, the male mice, their offspring, didn't survive for longer than 48 hours, and all of them had gruesome mutations. Of course, this research is extremely interesting, but there is a lot more work that needs to be done before we try this on humans. But it is a very, very interesting concept. Like, imagine what reproduction could be like in 50 years, 100 years time. Will we even do it the mainstream way we do it currently, or will everything eventually move over to a test tube? It is an interesting idea.
Listen, I think that the asteroid gonna come before that, right? We're gonna have our day of reckoning. The dystopian future is going to happen way before. 50 years is a lot to be. Can you imagine in 50 years what this shit going to look like? Shit, 5 years ago, AI wasn't a thing, baby. Times 10, 5 times 10, 50 years from now. Man, I hope to be alive during that time. I can't wait to see. Nevertheless, every technological advancement comes with consequences. They further will fuel this idea that women don't need men. The messaging to women about men is already in the idea that men are optional, right? Optional in families, optional in households, optional in culture, right? And the thought, or the reality rather, of artificial wombs is only going to devalue men or devalue masculinity more so. And for that, I think that this technology is beyond dangerous. Even thinking about the pregnancy time period as it exists today, that's our biology, right? Hormones are generated from the woman in order to bond them closer to the child. Well, in these cases, this shit won't even happen. There's already a too high of an infant mortality rate by hands of the mother. But imagine when they don't even have this binding hormone because they chose to mechanize this very biological process. So although they tout these talking points on high, I don't think that the reality is that women of today would be prepared for a shift like this en masse. Let's actually take a look at the comments to see if we can learn anything new. Praying for this, not gonna lie. It will be possible, yes, I really hope, but people won't allow it. And with people, I mean men in particular. Unfortunately, well, looks like they're going to allow it in China, baby. As a young lesbian, this is actually interesting. Hello, this is the next step in human evolution. Compassionate species. This is crazy. This is all women that are commenting to this. Fun fact, the mice born from 2 females did not store extra fat in their bodies, and they lived 3 times as long as regular mice. Personally, I think that the discrepancy between the female mice and the male mice, they're eventually going to figure that out in determining how they can do this for men that want children with this bionic surrogacy. As a bi woman, should I be extremely happy? I want pregnancy without the pregnancy itself. Is that in the development pipeline or something? Please be real, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, I found something out just now that I literally have to share with the world. So ladies, you know how, like, we all know that we don't need men to get pregnant, and we could literally just, like, take the, like, cells from another woman's femur and put it into our reproductive and make our reproductive organs and make another child with their DNA and our DNA. But I saw something the other day where someone asked what would happen if we were to take our own cells from our own femur and put it into our own bodies. What would happen? And someone actually gave an answer to this. The answer is, if you were to do that, you would literally be carrying your sibling, because the DNA you're scraping from your femur is more your parents' DNA. It's more of a variation of your parents' DNA. So therefore, you would be carrying your own sibling. You would be carrying your parents' child.
I repeat, Nothing comes without consequences. But looking at content like this and watching the smirking faces as they talk about this world-ending new technology, it just further demonstrates cooked. We thought we were cooked after dating apps and shit like that. No. We about to be fricasseed, baby. Smiling, cackling, talking about you can produce your sibling out your body. Shit. They gonna come out looking like they from West Virginia. You heard? Like the hills have eyes, all right? They gonna come out looking like the product of an incestuous relationship. You better stop it, all right? But listen, guys, let me stop the content right here. Now, I brought up a bunch of different questions within the confines of this content, and I think that I don't have all the answers at the end of the day. I'm seeing this, and I want to talk about it, and I think talking about it from the perspective of all of the different implications and how this may shift both positively and negatively within our world and the advancements within our society today, but then also what does this do to the human condition, the human dynamic, the relationship dynamic, right? Between man and woman. I think that there's both pros, cons, right? I think it's more cons than pros for both sides of the coin. But inevitably, technology like this, just like a lot of different technology, most of the different technologies that have been created over the past several decades, bring us further and further and further apart. Now, while I do think that there'll be subsets of people within specific conditions that can benefit from this, right? Like to have the thought of, damn, my kidney is going, why don't they take 9 months, right, some of my DNA and make a being of me that has my kidney, right? And they could just put it in my body. Like the medical advances, right? This has to be regulated. Like the regulations have to be, but it's going to be in China. So we all know there's going to be lack of regulations of things that come out of China, but nevertheless, it's coming. And I wanted you guys to be aware. Do understand that the world is shifting fast, and only men with discipline, resources, leadership, and a vision will thrive in this new creation of the new world. And the men who lead, the men who build, the men who stand firm within their purpose, those men will always be the men that are in demand. And for all the ladies out there, don't let news like this, right, or a machine, the thought of a machine to take over a biological process of yours, trick you out of your true value, out of being feminine, out of being cooperative, out of being nurturing, out of being a place for peace, because those things throughout time will always be priceless to a man. A woman or your womb can be artificial, but a wife cannot. A mother's love cannot. It simply cannot exist. So at the end of the day, it comes down to this. Technology may change or alter components of biology, or I guess more accurately, what we consider life, but it cannot replace the human condition. It cannot replace masculinity and femininity working together, and the beauty of when it works together completely. And without that balance, we don't have families. And without families, we don't have a future. All right, guys, those are my thoughts in regards to this. Drop me them comments down up in the comment box down below. What is it that you think about this advancement in technology? Do you think that there has to be regulations put on China from a world perspective? Right, like I think about this also too, about, you know, the atomic bomb, when that technology, right? There were worldwide sanctions, right? Worldwide organizations made because of what the potential implications of that technology is. And the potential implications is so incredible here. I think that we have to create the burning platform so that governing agencies and bodies can at least get in there to at least understand of the worldwide implications of a technology like this. Now, it's not also that I don't think that there aren't government bodies out there that are in it for them, right? Like, it's not to say that as well, right? So don't get it twisted. But I think that it has to be of slower speed in deep consideration of worldwide impacts is what I'm trying to say. But leave me in the comments down below. What do you guys think about this? And I'll see you soon. Until next time, YouTube. Peace.
She belongs to the street.
Girl, don't hold my hand. You a match
actress on the OnlyFans. Get your money, girl, but damn, how is that your only plan? What you gonna do when you get too old to strip and dance? Get up out your echo chamber, screaming period and yes. You a low down dirty woman if you try to get knocked up by a high value man.